it's your girl Tia Shasha High, the host of Millennial High, where the trend-setting millennial comes for motivation, inspiration, and deep conversation. Today's show will be a great one. I'm so excited. We have the honor and pleasure of having screenwriter Steve Kunes on the show. He is the mastermind of the hilarious YouTube series Over My Dead Body. And also in the studio is the amazing composer and filmmaker Marty Kryzwonos. Marty is a recurring host on Over My Dead Body, and we'll talk to Marty and Steve about their inspiring careers and, of course, the creation of Over My Dead Body. And our Trendsetter segment will shine the light on Songbird, the only singing competition in Philadelphia. Schonewolf, creator of the show, will stop by with a few Songbird contestants and will vibe about their musical talents and ambitions. Also, Josh will share how you, yes, you, could be on season 10. A little bit about Millennial High. This show serves as a platform for those who inspire and provoke others to go beyond what they ever thought possible for themselves. So if you have an inspirational, uplifting, thought-provoking message you want to share with the millennials of the world, I want you. Be on the show. Email me at millennialhigh@gmail.com and let's connect. But first, let's set the mood. As I love doing, I love setting the mood with song. This song is one of my favorites. It's called Save Me a Place. It just came out not too long ago. It's the Bridge and Mountain remix by Mono Mind. And I chose this song because Mono Mind is this collaborative effort of musicians that come together. You never know who they are, but they come together and they create a song. And this song is called Save Me a Place. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Millennial High, an informational and inspirational talk show on WPPM 106.5 FM. You just heard Mono Mind Save Me a Place, the Bridge and Mountain remix, in case you were wondering. In the studio with me right now, today, this very moment, Steve Kunes and Marty Kryzwonos. Hey, how you guys doing?
That's us.
That's us. So Steve is absolutely amazing. He is a screenwriter, author, playwright, international bodybuilder. Just joking, Steve.
I'm so amazing.
He's an awesome Hollywood. He had an awesome Hollywood writing career, contributing to TV classics such as Love Boat, Small Wonder, What's Happening Now, and so many more. He'll definitely get into that later. In 2016, he added to the list of greatness by creating Over My Dead Body, the ultimate talk show featuring the most interesting and compelling people who ever lived. Steve is on the show, ladies and gentlemen.
How are you, Tia?
I'm so good.
This is such a cool show. Good.
Awesome. Marty over here. Marty Kryzwonos. He is a composer, actor, filmmaker. He's appeared in such films as The Happening, Silver Lining Playbook, Safe, and he played the orchestra conductor in Black Swan. Only naming a few. He just released his actually really popular film. Right?
Mazurkas. Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a great film. I'm so happy to have you guys on the show to talk about your amazing careers and everything that is Over My Dead Body. So, fall's here, right?
Pause?
Fall.
Yeah. I thought you wanted me to pause. I'm sorry.
No.
You'll never guess
Talk to me.
where Marty and I met.
Where did you meet?
We met in a 4th grade classroom.
Really?
Many, many years ago at Samuel Everett Elementary School in Levittown, Pennsylvania. And I think this, about a year ago, they closed the school.
Yeah.
Which is a sad thing. But yeah, we met when we were 9 years old, and who knew that, I'm not even going to say how many years later, we're working on a television show together.
I know. That's so awesome. So talk to me then, Steve. How was that first encounter with Marty? I think that's really interesting that you guys have known each other for so long. Yeah. And now collaborating.
Well, what?
He was, you know what? He was always inventing something. And he always had like a workshop. He's working, and the thing is, whatever he was building, you wouldn't really know what it is until he explained it to you. You know, it wasn't like, you know, you're building a
can't
toy
believe
car or a go-kart or something. It's like, you're always like, what is that? And he'd be like so concentrated on it that.
Well, that's because Steve, Steve would come with me to my grandparents, and my grandfather, he was a real incredible genius, and he taught me how to plan out making neat things like tree houses and workbenches that you could put your chemistry set on and everything. And you know, Steve would come over with me to my grandparents, and you know, he'd take part in it, and we'd, you know, have a good time.
So then my question is, you guys both went into show business.
Right.
How did that happen? Did you know, like, were you always around each other and knew, like, your career paths, like the steps that you were going to take, or you just happened to meet again and say, oh, wow, you're in show business so much?
It was serendipitous.
Yeah.
Because I originally, when I went to college, I didn't want to be in show business. I wanted to be a musician, so I went to school for music.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on in life, as things progressed, I wound up going into show business, where Steve started out as a writer.
Right. What happened was Marty was very involved in the school productions, and yeah, I always wanted to be a writer. God knows why, because nobody likes to write. You know, I would always ask the teacher if we could get graded like on a term paper instead of me having to study for something. And I ended up going to New York.
Yeah.
I went to NYU, and I studied literature, and Marty and I would see each other at class reunions, and of course this is before the internet, so I really didn't have much of an idea as far as what he was up to, and you know, as years went by, you know, I worked on a lot of I got discovered at the age of 26 by Norman Lear, who is now going to get a Kennedy Center honor this year.
Wow.
He's 95 years old now, but he was 61 when he hired me, and now I'm 61.
So then how were you discovered? Let's talk about that. What was that like?
I wrote some articles for magazines in New York. One of them was for The New Yorker, a talk of the town piece I did. And I got a call from one of the editors there, and they said, Norman Lear would like to talk to you. And I thought the whole thing was a joke. And he just basically said, would you like to write for television? And
Wow.
I said, I've never written a script in my life. And he goes, well, you're very good with character and dialogue. He said, as far as structure, that can be taught, but you can't teach character and dialogue. And so back in 1983, I went out to California, and I was hired pretty much as an apprentice writer. And my first show was called AKA Pablo, which starred a comedian named Paul Rodriguez. And TV Guide has still, to this day, named it one of the 50 worst television shows in the history of television.
Something to
This
be
is
proud
why-
of.
Let's go back though for the listener who might not know who Norman Lear is, unfortunately. So Norman Lear produced what sitcom?
He was most famous for All in the Family.
That was the funniest show.
And then
ever.
also for The Jeffersons and Maude and One Day at a Time and What's Happening and Silver Spoons and Good Times and on and on.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he was the one that injected a social consciousness into comedy for the masses. And that's why he's being honored at the White House in December.
So did you get to call your dear friend and congratulate him? Do you ever think about that? You should. You did?
I do that. We actually communicate by Facebook, on Facebook a lot.
That's amazing.
You know, honestly. And he, you know, so, you know, that was my big start. Then I worked on Family Ties. I worked on Cheers. You know, I did rewrites on 11 movies.
Wow.
But my favorite job lasted from 1988 to 1992. I worked on The Tonight Show, writing monologues for Johnny Carson,
Awesome.
including his
Wish
last.
I had a hand clap.
yeah,
Like,
Big applause.
the last joke that he did, and I wrote 684 monologues.
wow.
It's every day you get up and you realize if you're not funny, you could maybe lose your job. So, so I would read the newspaper and watch television in a different way than most people. There was nothing enjoyable about reading the paper. It's like this. I better find something funny in here.
So then I'm so interested in what you just said about you would watch TV and read the newspaper different than most people. So how is that? So just through a different lens, you're doing it for work, whereas most people do it for pleasure, you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was doing it for, if you get like 4 shows in the monologue, you're pretty much going to have a job.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. Most people last about 6 months on The Tonight Show, and I was there for 4.5 years. And one of the things we did on the show was we had a fantasy guest list.
Ah.
And the fantasy guest list is like people that probably would never come on the show, like the Pope, Queen Elizabeth.
Right.
And we used to joke about this, like, almost daily, like, you can add so-and-so to the list. And pretty soon it got to the point where it really wouldn't matter if they were dead or alive. It's just like, wouldn't it be great to do an interview with this person or that? And I carried that with me for 24 years. Mm-hmm. And that's how we came up with Over My Dead Body, the show we're doing now.
I love that. So, Marty, then while Steve is living the writer's dream, what were you doing?
Oh, man. All kinds of crazy things. Like I said, I went to college for music. I wound up getting a bachelor's degree for music education, piano major, vocal teacher, etc. Mm-hmm. Taught for about 1 year with a half-day, no-contract, long-term substitute job. During the year, Neshaminy went on a 30-day teacher's strike. That was my first job as a teacher, and my last, I might add. And then I got a call from New York from somebody. They were looking for a keyboardist to go on tour with them. It's a national tour. And the show band was called Ray Valenti's New York Experience, and I did that for a few years. Quit the job because things were just going downhill. Wound up starting to go towards radio, and I did some radio for a little bit. Just a lot of crazy things, and eventually I got to the point where I started going after films, like doing a lot of extra work and background work. And then eventually one day I got a break. I was in the film called Just Right with Queen Latifah.
I love Just Right. I love that movie so much. It has Common in it as well.
It's a cute love story.
Him.
And so I was there. I was booked for 3 days as an extra in this gigantic scene where we're at the stadium, watching a basketball game. And the third day, I'm just talking to somebody. We're joking, and we're talking about some of the really weird people that are also in the background actors. And somebody came up to me and said, "Excuse me, can I hear you talk for a minute? Can you say something?" I said, "Yeah, I'm Marty Kryzwonos from Levittown News." And she goes, "Oh yeah, can you sound angry?" And I started complaining about the food, there, and she loved it. I wound up getting a line in the movie, which basically put me over the edge to join the Actors Union, SAG.
Mm-hmm. And Marty, can I say something? I watched that movie so many times that I know your line by heart.
And what is that line?
Big Knight's not going to make that shot.
Oh my gosh.
I love that movie.
Queen Latifah is still talking about it to this day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually I just got a cease and desist letter from her.
Yeah.
So
at least you're in touch.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What were you saying?
So, as I'm doing, background work and getting little bit parts here and, doing this like really small, minor independent film called Black Swan as the orchestra conductor, I wanted more. I really wanted more. And eventually I started getting involved with filmmaking. My first opportunity was with Project 21, which is a fantastic way for people to get into filmmaking by building teams, and you have 21 days to make a 10-minute film. and you strictly 21 days, and
Wow.
it cannot be any longer, not one frame longer than 10 minutes, and you have to use a special secret word that they tell you.
Awesome.
All right. And they've been doing it for years. They haven't been doing it for a while because it's very, as you know, it's very difficult raising funds and getting the budget and stuff, and it's very time consuming. Hopefully it's going to be coming back soon. But that's what really got me started in filmmaking. That really gave me my big leg up. And Stephanie Uhas and Conan, Neil Conan. His dad is like with WHYY.
Oh, okay, yes.
Those two, that
Yes.
couple, they're phenomenal. And if they're listening, I hope that they get it started back up because it's a wonderful activity for filmmakers.
So then now, Steve, did you reach out to Marty and say, hey, I have this great idea. How did it happen?
Well, what happened was, I think Marty may have seen it on Facebook. I'm not sure. And he would ask about it, and he really expressed interest in it. We talked about having him play the part of Nostradamus, and that went on for about a year. We finally shot a pilot at Universal Studios, and we really didn't know what we were doing with the pilot. The camera angles were wrong. I had never, I'd only been a writer. I had never produced anything, and that showed. And Marty kept saying, so how's the pilot going? And I like, well, the pilot's terrible, Marty. So he said, well, why don't we try it? I think I may have figured out the show. Because how do you interview a person? We go to the graves of famous people.
Right.
And the host sits at the grave and interviews them, and we use a voiceover actor. And that can get a little boring, cutting to and from the host and the headstone. So we put a lot of images, a lot of clips in.
Yeah.
And Marty says, I think I figured it out. So he produced and directed and edited and starred in the pilot, and which featured Robert Kardashian. And boy, did he figure it out.
Yeah.
It is absolutely sensational. In fact, Norman Lear said it is the best idea for a television show that he can remember.
It is.
And has endorsed the show.
Awesome. Just to be clear, can one of you just talk about the concept of Over My Dead Body?
Well, basically, Steve has a laundry list of guests that he would like to interview, and we pick out. We've picked out about 8 so far that we really would like to do for our first season. And then he basically writes the script, and he does extensive research on it. He has a notebook full of articles, interviews. So everything that we do on the show is not bogus. It's actually true stuff based on that person's life. Yeah. And then once we do it, then we have to find the grave, for the visual. And as a matter of fact, our latest one that we're doing is Mae West, and I literally went up to Brooklyn, New York, to Cypress Hills Cemetery to find her resting place.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're actually going to see her resting place in the show.
So I know one of the guys have been the Kardashian father, but I feel like that's so. I love the show because I feel it's so funny. There's truth underlying it, but then it's also like borderline controversial as well.
It gets a little edgy.
It gets a little edgy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen,
but it's all based on truth. That's the funny thing.
And that's what's so great about it, because I remember when I saw the Steve Jobs episode, when I watched that, I was at work and I was dying. It is so funny, and I share that. If anyone's on Facebook right now, you gotta go to my Facebook page, Millennial High, or maybe Over My Dead Body Facebook page,
or you could type Over My Dead Body as one word.
Yeah.
overmydeadbody.tv. It'll take you right to our website where you can see all the episodes.
All the
for free.
episodes, you gotta see them.
Or
You have
Funny
to
or
see
Die.
them.
You can also go on Funny or Die. were on that as well.
They're so funny. I couldn't believe it. And, and I'm in technology, and so I was like, I got to hear the Steve Jobs episode. And it was so great. It was so great. I don't want to give anything away because you got to listen to it.
The trick to doing the show and the whole idea behind it, people said, well, you're going to interview dead people, or you're going to talk about, is there heaven, hell, what's it like in the afterlife, or being spooky and all. I said, no, we don't mention that the people are dead. We treat them like, they haven't been on the air in a while, and we're just catching up. And I was really using the format of the Tonight Show that has been ingrained in me.
Yeah.
To interview. What would you ask Steve Jobs? Well, a lot of people don't really know much about his history. They don't know much about what Robert Kardashian did or didn't do. They just know the name. Mm-hmm. So we do a little overview. Then we talk about, is there anything that needs to be cleared up? Maybe something that they would like to, has been reported wrong over the years.
Yeah.
And then we want to know, what are they up to now? What are they working on? Kardashian told us that he's working on a new show called Keeping Up with This Kardashian. We talk about Steve Jobs, his first trip to India, how he came up, his whole.
That was so funny.
His whole way of his philosophy on simplicity with the iPhone. We talked to Nostradamus, who really never predicted anything in his life, but
they still use him as an example.
We still use him as everything that happened. We're going to talk to Julia Childs, is going to share some recipes with us. We're going to talk to Mark Twain, Rodney Dangerfield. Hugh Hefner is now being buried right next to Marilyn Monroe, so we have a little double episode in store for them. Don Rickles, George Carlin. We have Jimmy Stewart, I think would be wonderful, Bogey and Bacall. And it's the show that never dies.
Right, exactly. Literally. But that's what I was going to say. It's like the guests don't even, it's like how you treat the guests is they're not even dead.
But we do thank them for allowing us to be the first people to interview them since their death.
Exactly.
And
right,
really
you do see that, but they don't understand that they are. Like, they talk as if it's happened, like, like nothing has transpired or nothing has, like, they're aware still.
My philosophy, and this is not just mine, but if you can remember somebody, in a sense, they're not gone.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we talk about Mark Twain, we talk about Steve Jobs. There are people that I think but the show is branded as comedy and education, and because everybody who has watched an episode said, you know what, that was really funny, but by the way, I didn't know this about them.
That's what I said.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And another reaction is, listening to it, they want to learn more about the person that they hear.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of material out there, to learn these things.
Yeah, we're going to do the cast of I Love Lucy. We have some cast episodes. The cast of Gone with the Wind,
really,
Casablanca, The Honeymooners, and I'm toying with Catherine.
We're talking about
Great,
Tupac Shakur. We're going to interview him.
Tupac
You're going to interview Tupac.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Yep.
That's going to be a good
I think that's our next show, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long does it take you, Steve, to write an episode?
Longer than I want.
Oh,
no. I actually feel, even though it's a comedy, a sense of responsibility to make it accurate. Mm-hmm. So once I start, like for instance with Mae West, I not only read a biography on her, I read her autobiography, plus a ton of stuff that's been online. I looked at documentaries. I must have spent a month writing that thing.
I mean, YouTube was fantastic for doing research, especially in researching how she spoke. And that was a real key. Right. That's the real key thing about Mae West. She was, and I was telling Steve earlier today, if you compared Mae West to the social media, she's more like Twitter than Facebook. Facebook, you can rant pages on end. Twitter, you are limited to a certain amount of characters. And that's how she spoke. That's why so many of her phrases are so famous, because they're so concise.
Right.
So we try to capture that in the show.
So then how do you find the voice of the actor? Like, how do you go about doing that?
That's not always as easy as it sounds.
Right.
For instance, something like Nostradamus, you can make anything up. Mark Twain could be.
Well, he was born in France, so we gave him a French.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously from the 1500s, you wouldn't know what he sounds like. On the other hand, Rodney Dangerfield, you would know exactly what he sounds like. And a lot of people are online that perform as Rodney Dangerfield, and I listen to every one of them, and none of them sound like Rodney. So until we find the voice of Rodney,
right,
we
you
will
can't
have
do
to
it.
put off doing the show.
Right.
But somebody like Julia Child or Jimmy Stewart, a lot of people
That's a very doable. That's a very doable accent.
But that's a good question. It's not so easy to find good. But I'll tell you this, from my experience just in the last few months, there's many talented people right here in Philadelphia.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, for example, our host for Mae West, her name is Nikki Gold. She lives in Brooklyn. And I happened to come across her at the New Hope Film Festival where my film Mazurkas was shown. And I stuck around and I watched some of the other films. And she had a comedy film called Reality Disorder. And what I loved about her was her expressiveness of her voice and her face. And she was just fun to watch, and she had a warmth about her. So I approached her about hosting the Mae West episode. And, that's how it works.
And she was in and she loved it.
Yeah, and she's not a big star. I mean, she's a struggling filmmaker like everybody else. But I was lucky enough to be at the right place at the right time to meet her.
Absolutely. So then now we have the voice, right? You have your voice. Then you find your host, which can really kind of be anyone, right? Or are you particular about who you use as the host for the show?
We're particular about it, too.
Yeah. Okay. And so then you do that. So then what's next? Like, how do you bring it all together, is what I mean.
Well, the script
with the script, the
foundation.
actors, the everything. So then what's the shooting look like? What's the taping, airing look like of Over My Dead Body?
Well,
it takes us about 4 hours to tape a show.
Yeah.
And the shows are under 20 minutes. So we have a lot of stuff to work with, to cut out, to try to make it as funny as possible.
Yeah.
It's very interesting when we're in the studio. Well, we go on location, to do the actual, the
cemetery
footage.
Right.
And and we also record in a voiceover studio. But the voice is actually recorded separate from what we film. So that's another day.
That's where the editing.
Marty
right,
somehow,
that's right. Which
Marty
I feel
somehow
like
cuts it together, but he won't tell us how.
Oh, really? So, but wait. So this is what I was getting at. So you actually go into a cemetery to shoot this? I missed that. Is that what you said?
You want to?
Yeah, we show up at a cemetery and we hope we don't get kicked out. It's basically.
This show is out of control. I love it.
I mean, so it already starts.
Scandalous.
Yeah, it's a little. We're pretty scandalous. I think the
you're
last one we went to was on July 4th, and we have waving flags. In the
we had
background.
waving flags in the background. It's very patriotic.
You have to be very, very. You almost have to be Geraldo Rivera to get in there.
Yeah.
And.
Okay. I know something went down. I don't want you guys to put anything on air that shouldn't be. So let's continue and move on. Okay, so then great. So you said it's Over My Dead Body, all one word, .tv, and they can see all the episodes, right?
Yep.
So then what's next? You gave us a little bit about who will be interviewed next. Will you take suggestions?
Sure.
Absolutely. We welcome all suggestions and we take them seriously.
And also, we invite, in fact, we have a promo that's running from time to time, inviting people to ask questions of potential guests. So if they, if they get, in fact, we had Sean Rosette Senning, one of our classmates, she contacted us. She says, I want to ask a question. So, we have her doing that. Yeah, but we invite participation, people, writing us, and we'll respond.
So then how can they write? How can they reach out to you and give you their suggestions?
You go to overmydeadbody.tv.
I just want you to keep saying it.
And you go to the contact page. And the contact page, you write your name and email address and what you'd like to ask or whatever. And that's how you can contact us.
So I have just a few questions then that came in via text message. So this is today's day and age, right? So Steve, the question is, how did you enjoy working on the Tonight Show?
It was the best job of my life, and I miss it to this day. I would wake up. It is very exciting. You wake up in the morning, you deliver the jokes by noon to the head writer. Johnny gets them around 1 o'clock, got them around 1 o'clock. And our initials are next to each joke. So he knows who would write them. And if a joke bombed, he would supposedly never be mad at the writer because he's the one that chose the joke to do.
Oh.
And we would tape from 5:30 to 6:30, and I would stand about 10 feet away, 15 feet away from where he was, and watch him do my joke.
Watch your joke bomb.
I've had some absolutely sensational bomb jokes.
But you know what? It was how he reacted to them that made it even funnier. So that you didn't lose.
And then also to Marty and Steve, for any aspiring, I guess, actors, writers, whoever wants to get into show business, what would you suggest? Especially Steve, with you with writing, I kind of feel like that might not be the easiest thing to get into.
Well, my professor at NYU told me, he said, you really can't teach writing.
Right.
Although now they have so many writing classes and you can major in it. He said, what you really should do is read. So I majored in literature and I read before I tried my hand at writing. And also, here's my number one piece of advice is don't try to be like somebody else. I'm going to be Ernest Hemingway, so I'm going to write like him, or I'm going to, just write the way you talk, and it sounds natural, and it's your own voice, and no two people have the same voice.
My advice to people who want to get into filmmaking or making videos or whatever is, YouTube. Go to YouTube, look at a lot of videos. Go to Vimeo, look at a lot of videos. Start making films, even with your iPhone or your Android phone. Get into it, and the more you do it, then you're going to discover that, I need one of these, or I need this piece of equipment, and things build up. And also look for other people who want to do it too. Right. I mean, that's basically how it's done.
And I have spent 35 years living out in California, and came back home to visit my parents, who are fortunately still alive. Ran into Marty, and who would have thunk it that I came back to my hometown, and the guy who made the show a reality is the kid that I met in 4th grade.
I know. Comes full circle.
Yeah.
Life is so awesome that way. Thank you, Steve, so much for coming and gracing us with your presence. Thank you so much, Marty. You two are wonderful. They're such a great resource, and I'm telling you, I feel like I'm sitting in the presence of greatness right now.
By the way, in our next episode, listen for a very familiar voice as a call-in guest on Mae West's episode.
Yeah, I wonder who that could be.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to go to overmydeadbody.tv. Check out everything that is Over My Dead Body, you guys. It's so hilarious. Share. Okay, I'm going to welcome in Josh and his Songbird crew after I play this song that I heard in my car the other day, and I fell in love with it instantaneously. It is Dangerous, and I hope you love it too. We will talk to you soon. And we are back. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a show. No, I'm joking. If you're just tuning in, this is our Trendsetter segment highlighting ideas, music, and people who are on the leading edge. I have with me in the studio Josh Schonewolf. I love you, Josh. Hey.
Hi, Tia.
I have Josh, and Josh is going to talk about his singing competition called Songbird, which is happening right now in Philly. It's Philly's first and only singing competition.
I think it's the only. Yeah, I think there are some that are like annual, but it's like, this happens twice a year, like Top Model.
Oh, God. Love Top Model. And with Josh, Mark and Roxy.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, your voice is so soft.
Not when I sing.
Exactly, because let me tell you, I heard you sing. Because I was telling Josh, I'm like, I wanted to share on the Songbird page, and I know that there was two videos and one post, and I'm like, who are like these people have like great voices? Oh my God, who are they? And then come to find out, you bring them to the show.
Yeah. Well, Mark won the challenge this past week. It was recently passed away singers. That was the challenge. So it was like Prince. You did Prince Purple Rain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he like slayed the house. So it was like he came out with this purple trench coat on, an umbrella. It was like a whole thing. And I was like, geez, okay. And Roxy is the slay queen.
And
So-
what did you sing, Roxy?
Well, the week one, I sang House is Not a Home, Luther Vandross version.
She won that week.
And then Mark. So I'm. You know what, Roxy, you're gonna have to listen. I hate to put you on the spot, but think about it if you want to do this. But your voice is so soft, and if it wasn't for me hearing it on the video, I would have like, no way, no way, she's singing right now.
Let's see.
But let me tell you, she has this powerful voice. It's so amazing, and so does Mark. So then, how did you two find out about the competition?
So I initially, well, Roxy and I have been friends for a while, and I saw a post that she put up on Facebook about the competition, and I commented, "Oh my God, congrats! I've always wanted to do it." And then Josh just like added me on Facebook.
I
and
saw his videos. I was like, "Who is this boy? He's cute." And then like all the videos are him singing Lady Gaga, and I'm like, "You have to be in Songbird. Like, would you like $2,000?"
And I was like,
So,
"Oh
yeah.
my God!" It just like fell into my lap. I was just, it was great. It was great.
And what about you, Roxy?
Oh, I was performing at Full Front Street, just singing, and I always have like a really quiet voice, but then like when I sing, it's a little bit different, maybe. And I think Josh was kind of surprised, and he asked me to be in it the next day.
I was about to faint like Rebecca from Top Model. Like I was like, "Oh my God, this girl! Like, what the hell?" But yeah, they're both amazing. But this season is like, everybody's really good. Someone went home this week named Geraldo. First of all, his name is Geraldo, so I love that.
Yeah.
But he went home, and he's really, really good. So that's it's just like a testament to how good everybody, like the level of singing talent in Philly is just over the moon. And this is like the 9th season of this, and it feels like the bar is like reset every season, and the judges that have been doing it for a while always say like, "Wow, this is the best season ever," or like, "This is the best group," and it's like, okay, by season 20 maybe we'll have like Celine Dion and Beyonce or something. We'll see. But
Or you never know. Like, so basically, the winner from the season can end up being a Beyonce or a Celine Dion, right?
That's
and
the
then
goal.
like exactly. So then tell me a little bit about the structure of the show.
Okay.
So
it's a 14-week singing competition, and they get pre-assigned the themes like 3 to 4 weeks in advance, so they can like live with the idea and figure out like what they're gonna do, and they can play instruments, they could sing a track, like whatever they want to do. It's pretty wide open. I don't like to put performers in a box, so it's kind of freeing, and they could do kind of whatever they want. And they're judges, just like the reality shows that happen, and they have done Songbird before and have become big names from being in Songbird. And Eric Jaffe's the host. He was in season 2, so it's very like a family, and they take Songbird really seriously, the people that are have judged it. And
who are the judges?
So it's Keely Sibilia. She won season 4. She's incredible. Lizzie Spellman is a cabaret singer in town. Jeremy Adam is a rock singer who I think he was just on tour for like 2 friggin' years. So
Oh, wow.
he was gone for a while. And Robert Alexander, he's like a Bruno Mars type. He's like a sexy crooner who'll just like look you in your eyes and break your heart.
Nice.
But yeah, those are the judges. But it's a 14-week singing competition. The winner gets $2,000. There's a bottom 3, a sing-off at the end, and someone goes home. It's really fun. Yeah. I get
where
really
is
into
it?
At the Ruba Club in Spring Garden area.
Oh,
Yeah,
what night?
It's every Wednesday. So this coming week is Beyonce and Celine Dion week.
Oh
And,
my
yeah.
gosh.
What do you guys think?
Beyonce? What are you gonna? Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
like-
Oh wait, So wait, each contestant they sing one song a show or
Yes.
two?
There's still 19 left in it.
Oh, so yeah, just one song, right?
We only voted out 2 people so far.
So then Beyonce or Celine. So who?
Or
who-
both. You can remix.
Or like a mashup.
Oh, a
Yeah.
mashup.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like Glee.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, it's called Beyonce versus Celine Dion. So you could sing both of them together somehow or one or the other.
Oh my gosh. Wait, can you reveal or no?
Yeah.
So my selection for this coming week is going to be a mix up between Jessica Sanchez from American Idol
Oh,
season
yeah.
in 2012. She did a slow version of Sweet Dreams. So it's going to start off like that, and then by the second verse it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then turn the lights off, and then the fast version starts.
Yay.
So,
yes.
little spoiler, but definitely come out to watch it. It's going to be a great show.
And
from
Roxy's
all
going to be
contestants.
dropped from a helicopter into a split, and then she's going to do Crazy in Love, right?
I'm gonna do the 4 Key Change song by Beyonce, which is difficult, and I'm a little bit scared, but it's Love on Top.
Oh my God, that is the
Love
hardest
Love
song.
on Top.
A lot of people say if you could sing that song, you could sing anything because it's
She-
really hard to
She's
sing.
amazing, and there are 4 key changes, and it goes so high,
Yeah,
so high.
yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, that's a really hard song to sing, but I've seen people do it in the past in Songbird, and it did not work out.
Really?
Yeah.
No pressure.
No, but
Exactly.
if anybody can handle it, it's Roxy Faye.
So, Roxy Faye, you even have a great stage name, or is that your real name?
Roxanne is my real name.
But it is Roxy Faye, though. Nice.
Yeah.
See, my name is Tia Whitfield. It's
It sounds
bleh.
famous.
No, it doesn't.
As you have your
My
own.
mom
version.
should have married somebody else, right? No, but
Tia Obama. That has a ring to it. You can always rebrand. Tia.
exactly, Tia Kravitz. I like that one. How about that?
That works.
No, okay. So then, who, Mark and Roxy, your musical inspirations?
Everyone around me knows this, and I even announced it the first week. Lady Gaga, hands down. As cliche as that sounds, she just ignites such a fire in me whenever I get on stage. I try to channel her to a point where I have that energy level, but not to a point where people are like, "Oh my God, it's just Lady Gaga on stage." So she's it for me. She's
such a
my
performer,
lifeline.
and so are you. Yeah.
So, did you see the Netflix documentary?
Oh, girl, you know I did.
I was gonna say, wasn't that good?
I loved it.
I had work
Yeah.
the
That
next
was
day at
so
like
good.
7:30, and it came out. First, I thought it was going to be 12 a.m. I'm like, all right, that's fine. But it was 12 a.m. Pacific time, so I had to stay up until 3. And I did. I had my Cabernet. I was like, girl, I'm ready.
Yes.
But
It was
was
so
phenomenal. And
great, wasn't
It was
it?
a great documentary because you got to see like besides the fame and the glamour, like
Yes.
this is like the grit.
A
This
real
is
girl.
this
Yes.
is her life.
And Roxy, I'm gonna really pose this question to you, but I wouldn't know your musical inspirations. But really, did you see the documentary? If not yet,
Not yet.
You got to, because as a woman in show business, it goes to show just how much, even not even just a woman, just a human being, really, how much wear and tear that happens to your body.
Yeah.
I mean, and you see her, and you stop looking at her as like this celebrity goddess, right? You start looking at her as like, wow. Oh my God, she can get hurt. Like she's putting her every performance that we love. Like she is like straining her body for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made me think of her like so differently. I fell in love at that point. So, but Roxy, so who are your musical inspirations?
Oh, well, growing up, I listened to a lot of musical theater and everything, and I hung out with a lot of musicians into jazz. And I once had someone tell me I was a cross between Ethel Merman and Ella. Ella Fitzgerald.
yes.
So I loved to scat. My dad had played piano, and so I loved to mess around with music and find notes that weren't there.
Can I
But
tell you, when I heard your video, I love jazz,
Yeah.
and I always go to this jazz place here in the city, but I'm like, I would love to hear her like every night in like a jazz lounge. That's exactly the first thing I thought when I heard you.
Well, when I was a little bit older, I got the album Survivor, though, and the person who taught me how to sing and how to riff was actually Destiny's Child. All three. At three at the time, of course.
Right, yeah.
Because there's one part in the song Survivor when they do a call and response, and they're like, oh, 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 and they just keep going back and forth like that, and it's just that I did that until I could do it.
You can keep on singing though. I'm just telling you.
They might be looking for a fourth member. They're always changing their lineup.
I'm just letting you know. No, but seriously. So if you have anything, because I know you stopped by, and I know this is like so last minute for me to say this to you too. But do you mind giving us maybe like a little taste of something?
Sure.
I'll be first.
Okay, go ahead, Josh.
I'll yodel. Is that okay? Is that allowed?
Josh is
I'm
first.
just kidding. I
No,
can't
now you
sing.
have to do it.
I can't sing.
You
I
have to
run
give us
Songbird, but I
something.
can't sing. I could do burlesque. Thank you.
I know. Yes, you can. And yes, you can. I have been
Speaking
there.
of wear and tear on your body, I hurt my knee last night in Wilkes-Barre, but we won't talk about me.
Okay. Okay, just a little something. Here we go.
Okay. I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track. Baby, I was born this way.
Yes.
The funny
yes,
thing is
Mark.
they're
yes.
all this good. It's like crazy.
It's gonna
Yes.
How are we going to vote anyone out this season?
Well, they can't leave.
I know.
Fingers crossed. I hope we don't leave.
Okay, and Roxy, what about you?
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Butterfly up in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good.
Good gravy.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm definitely being there on Wednesday
Yeah.
night. You will see me there.
I'll have a seat for you and we'll have whiskey together. We'll sit together.
You know
Yeah.
what to bring me out.
I've
you
been
know.
knowing you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, Josh.
Of course.
And just where they can find Songbird. Do you have a website, FB page, IG?
Yeah, check it out on it's Songbird Philly. There's a fan page with all the information. It's 9 p.m. every Wednesday until we have a winner, and it's week 3 is this coming Wednesday at the Ruba Club in Spring Garden. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. It's in between 5th and Spring Garden and 5th and
Behind Silk City, 416 Green Street.
Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
And
All right.
the sound system is amazing, so it can handle the level of singers that we have this season.
Oh
yeah.
my God. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Marty and Steve, for being on the show as well. You guys stick around. Delilah Robin is up next. After that, Sherry Lee. It's been a lot of fun with all of you. Don't forget to enjoy yourself today and stay lit, love inspired and true. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.